Yeah, I think we made progress over the course of last year.
So as you guys might know, today actually is my birthday, and like you guys, I didn't expect to have this much work cut out for me today, but when we have rumors in regards to the craziness that's happening in Chicago that we made a video on earlier, and of course, what just officially happened in New York, and you happen to enjoy your job, then of course, we're gonna have to make a video on this. So real quick, before we get to the content, the greatest birthday present you could give me is leaving a like and subscribing and turning on your notifications for this channel, which by the way, if you do, you'll enter for a chance to win a pair of Apple AirPod Maxes. Of course, follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, because that's probably the best way to notify me that I should make content. And of course, make sure you cop yourself a pair of casual merch on microphone.org. This casual hoodie's the perfect gift to purchase somebody that thinks Joe Judge is the next coming of Bill Belichick. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? For a lot of you guys that have been following me for quite some time, you'd know that unfortunately I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. And you guys keep saying, Mike, you guys are doing really well. You should be really happy that you're a Cowboys fan. But no, just trust me, we're gonna mess this up somehow. I just feel it in the air. But my pessimism as a Dallas Cowboy fan aside, if there's one aspect about my fandom that I don't miss at all whatsoever, it's the fact that we at one point thought it was a good idea to fire Wade Phillips and hold on to Jason Garrett for way too freaking long. I mean, I guess firing Wade Phillips was a good move at the time, but the amount of time that Jason Garrett got to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys was absolutely appalling. There was a point where I literally thought Jason Garrett knew some sort of Jones family secrets and literally had blackmail on the Jones family. And at first I thought it was a really cute story, don't get me wrong. I mean, this is the man that literally backed up Troy Aikman for the Dallas Cowboys, so I thought it was kind of cool that he eventually became the Cowboys head coach. But then he started his first 3 seasons and went 8-8, then had 1-12-4 season, then went 4-12, but Tony Romo was out. Then went 13-13 when Dak Prescott's rookie year, 9-7, 10-6, and then once again 8-8. And it got to a point where the Cowboys story was always, hey, this is a really promising freaking team with pretty good talent, but no head coaching whatsoever. Eventually, the Cowboys saw enough, and after literally employing this man for almost an entire decade, they let the most average head coach that is more notorious for his ability to clap on the sidelines and his inability to make in-game adjustments go. And here's the funny part. A team that we literally faced twice in our division said, hey, you know that guy that is completely incapable of making offensive adjustments, that literally lost play calling duties during his final couple of seasons with the Dallas Cowboys? Well, you know what? I think we're going to go ahead and hire him as our offensive coordinator. So let me give you some statistics as to how bad that was. I mean, last year when the Giants brought in Jason Garrett, they were 31st in points per game with 17.5 points per game and 299.6 yards per game. With Garrett calling the plays, they are currently 25th in points per game, 18.9 points per game, and 23rd in yards per game, which is 322.8 per game. Now, bear in mind, man, I know I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, but when I look at the New York Giants offense, of course, Saquon Barkley was in and out of lineups, and I understand that. Daniel Jones isn't the greatest quarterback, but a competent offensive coordinator would be more than capable of at least playing towards Daniel Jones's athleticism and his ability to dink and dunk down the field. Bear in mind, this is a team that actually had a pretty good offseason. I mean, the drafting of Kadarius Toney seems to be a home run. They spent big money on probably the best wide receiver on the market in Kenny Golladay. I mean, they even took a flyer on John Ross, so they literally had everything they needed offensively. Maybe their offensive line could have been a little bit better, but even that, Andrew Thomas is kind of taking strides forward, at least in regards to his pass blocking, but wasn't really that good of a run blocker this year, at least according to Pro Football Focus, which is probably the only way I could ever measure an offensive lineman's competence, because come on, man, it's pretty freaking hard to measure how competent an offensive lineman is because they don't really have stats going for them. And then you also add in the fact that Andrew Thomas had more receiving touchdowns than Johnson, Kadarius Toney, and Kenny Golladay the entire freaking season, which is a stat that I didn't believe and I had to do a double take on, and then it became more and more clear why the hell the New York Giants did what they did. Because according to the New York Giants themselves, Jason Garrett has been relieved of his duties as offensive coordinator. Now, here's the thing, man. I wanted to just start this out by saying Jason Garrett isn't the only problem, man. The problem is up in the front office, and it's David Gettleman. With all due respect, man, David Gettleman has not been a good general manager. I mean, this is a man that came in and traded Odell Beckham Jr., Jason Pierre-Paul, and Leonard Williams, went through 2 head coaches, and had 4 NFL drafts since. And ever since then, the Giants are 17-38 since David Gettleman has been hired. I don't like playing this role because I think it's kind of hard to hit on the NFL draft. It's kind of like a lottery, but let's be honest, the moment that he came in and decided to draft Saquon Barkley with the number 2 overall pick, I knew there may be a problem here, which, with all due respect, I love Saquon Barkley. I think he is a remarkable talent when he is healthy. But when you have as many problems as the New York Giants did, well, I think that number 2 overall pick should have been a guy that was considered to be a lock to be a future Hall of Fame offensive lineman in Quentin Nelson. And then later on, they would go ahead and draft Will Hernandez in that very same draft. That's where you take your running back. You don't take your running back with the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft. You take a potential anchor to your offensive line that could completely shift the culture of your team. And then in the second round, you could take a player like, I don't know, Nick Chubb, who ended up being better than Saquon Barkley. Why? Because he has an offensive line and a head coach that knows how to employ a pretty good offensive running scheme. And then, of course, there's DeAndre Baker in 2019. We made a video on that entire mess of a situation about a year ago. And if you ask me to this day, I still think Daniel Jones was a huge reach, but people will disagree with that notion. The fact that this guy came in during Ben McAdoo's time and then dismissed Ben McAdoo for Pat Shurmur, then brought in Joe Judge, and then hired Jason Garrett should be more than enough for you guys to know who the real problem is. So yeah, Jason Garrett was not the right hire, but it doesn't really matter who you guys bring in next, because after 4 seasons, I have no faith in David Gettleman whatsoever. If you want an overly aggressive general manager who actually has logic to his over-aggression, go and hire John Dorsey. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this man. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.